What's good, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, man. My name's DivaTequila. I appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a wonderful day, man. Happy New Year's if we haven't spoke already. Hope 2024 brings you nothing but, blessings and love and all that, man. So, much love to you for being here. Today, we're going to talk about some of the news with MAUGA. One of the devs just announced maybe like 30 minutes or an hour or so ago, that some MAUGA nerfs are coming, so I want to go ahead and touch on those. I was already planning on making a video today talking about the counters and the complements to MAUGA, so I'm going to briefly discuss those as well, but I wanted to go ahead and just, go over the nerfs that are coming. Obviously, anybody who's been playing at the moment knows that MAUGA is kind of entirely taken over ranked. I can't speak for, top 500 GM lobbies, whatever. Y'all do what y'all do. But anyways, for gold through master, there's a lot of MAUGA being played. You know what I mean, and for good reason as well. He's got a massive health pool coupled with armor. He's got multiple forms of CC. He's got self healing as well as team damage mitigation as well. Massive amounts of damage. So pretty much anything you could want in a tank, he's got. So Alec Dawson is a dev or whatever, but just announced that there's going to be a nerf upcoming next week. So still going to have to deal with him through the weekend. It is what it is, but they're claiming there's going to be some really harsh nerfs. They're going to target survivability, total ammo pool, and more. So I have to imagine their survivability, they're going to bring down that massive health and armor pool. He's at like 650, so I'd imagine we're going to be looking somewhere around like 500 after the nerf. We'll see. Maybe cut the armor bonus in half, and then also reduce the health a little bit more as well. The ammo nerf is probably going to be, I would imagine they're not going to go too crazy, but they definitely have to come down some. The fact that you can entirely destroy a Lifeweaver tree and then still have ammo left over to just continually fry people is probably a bit too much. He's currently at 350, probably going to be looking somewhere between the 250 to 300 mark if I had to guess. That still gives him enough time, I think, to fire through his entire ultimate and then fire through an entire clip after that, and still be somewhat of just a full-on damage bot, you know what I mean, but not like non-stop where he never has to reload except for in advantageous positions. And then the more that they're talking about, I have to imagine is going to refer to either how much damage the ignite is doing or the critical shot multiplier. I don't think that they're going to change how many shots it takes to ignite again, because that was something that they initially nerfed and then reverted. I do think that's, arguably one of the key things of his kit. I don't think they're going to make it to where it's harder to ignite people, but I do expect, whatever word is there. Anyways, I think that they're going to bring down the total amount of damage that the ignite does, and he's probably also going to get a reduced amount of the overhealth and the lifesteal component as well. So anyways, you've got some big nerfs coming up to MAUGA. That's definitely going to shake up the meta. He's obviously S tier at the moment. He's getting played quite a lot. But with that being said, he's not entirely, capable of just fully dominating a game if you play correctly. Obviously, he's really strong. He has a lot of strengths. But there are a few counters I want to go through. I think there's 3 tank counters, so to speak. I think there's possibly 4 to 5 damage counters depending on how you look at it, and I really think that there's 2 support counters as well. If you can get all of those coupled on the same team, or a combination of 5 of those on the same team, you're probably good, you know what I mean. But then are you creating weaknesses in other areas, you know what I mean? So anyways, I think D.Va is the first big counter here. Obviously the defense matrix from D.Va is pretty massive. All of MAUGA's damage is coming in the form of projectiles. So with D.Va, you're obviously able to be a brawler and a dive as well. So if you can use the defense matrix to soak up most of his damage, and then you can attack the squishies in the backline and kind of, alleviate the pressure for your own backline, but also reduce the amount of healing that MAUGA is able to receive. Because ultimately, he doesn't have a lot of self-sustainability if you take away his supports. He does have, the lifesteal component. He has the team mitigation. He's also able to dash in and out depending on how you play the cooldowns. But really, if you're able to kill the supports, you should be able to kill MAUGA pretty easily. So obviously, I think D.Va is really good. The D.Va ultimate is obviously, really massively strong. You can one-shot the squishies, from your backline, essentially, depending on how you throw it. So anyways, I think Diva's the first really good counter. I'm not really going to do these in order of the viability, more so just, kind of alphabetical order as I see them. So anyways, you got Diva, Orisa, and Sigma, I think are your three like best tank counters, and then I think for honorable mention you could throw Zarya in there as well. Orisa obviously has the javelin to knock him back, also has the javelin spin, which is again for mitigating the projectile damage. You essentially just position yourself directly in between the MAUGA and your team, and he's useless for like 3 seconds or so. And then the Fortify as well allows you to kind of actually duel it out effectively with the MAUGA. I do think that MAUGA wins this matchup, but it's not that big of a win, you know what I mean? I think a lot of it's going to come down to forcing your support off of each other, because Orisa and MAUGA both struggle with having self-sustainability. If they don't have a support healing them, then it's going to be kind of close. I think Orisa has a chance to win this one here, but it's really going to come down to the individual tank skill. And then Sigma also has two forms of mitigating or canceling out the MAUGA, at least for a little bit. The experimental barrier is huge for protecting your backline. The kinetic grasp, if you position yourself in front of your backline, will protect your backline, but it'll definitely protect yourself as well. And then for those of you who don't know, as you're absorbing projectiles, as people are shooting at you, as Sigma with your kinetic grasp active, is turning into extra health as well. So you actually get that bit of sustainability coupled with your burst damage. You could definitely win this matchup. I had a match earlier this morning actually where I started off on MAUGA. They had a MAUGA. A lot of times, obviously, when it's a MAUGA versus MAUGA, it's really a matchup of the supports. We didn't have crazy burst healing supports, whereas they had like the Kiriko Ana matchup. I think we had Mercy Zenyatta, which isn't horrible. I think the Zenyatta helps facing against a MAUGA, but not necessarily great on their team. Anyways, I'll get into that in just a second. But I swapped to Sigma, and then we ended up just steamrolling the lobby. Felt really good. Zarya is kind of self-explanatory in the form of, her bubbles. If you have any dive champions on your team, you just bubble them as they're diving in, and then that'll get your charge up, but it'll also protect them for, at least a second or two. If somebody's low health, the bubbles can get popped, and MAUGA can still kill them pretty easily. So that's why I don't think that Zarya is as good of a counter as these other champions, heroes rather. But Diva, Orisa, and Sigma are definitely three good counters to keep in mind in terms of playing against MAUGA. Moving to the damage roll, again, not in like S, A, B tier order, but more or less just alphabetical order. You got, I think, Bastion, I think I think Reaper, I think Tracer, and I think Sojourn as well. Those are really your big counters here. I think if I put them in like S or A tier, I would say Tracer and Sojourn are probably your S tier, and then Bastion, Reaper, are your A tier. But obviously Bastion is a big target in and of himself. It's kind of easy for MAUGA to punish a Bastion if he's caught out of position or if he doesn't have a support, right? Bastion can just kind of get mowed down. But just the raw damage output of Bastion is going to make him viable in this matchup here. Anytime you go into your assault form, your big tank form, you're able to really, really burn through the MAUGA. Obviously, if they have the pocket supports, they're able to heal that back up. But that's making sure that the supports are fully narrowed in on their MAUGA. And if they're fully focused on their MAUGA, that's creating a weakness in their backline. The other support can't get healed up. The DPS can't get healed up as well. So you can kind of bounce back and forth between shooting the MAUGA to make the supports be honest, and then when you catch the supports out of cover or whatever, you just fry the supports. So I think Bastion's viable here. I think Mai is viable because of her wall and her CC, not necessarily her damage output, although it's not bad, but being able to slow the MAUGA down in the close range situations will really allow your tank a better opportunity to brawl effectively, and it will create some more openings for your other DPS as well. I think the big thing really here is the ice wall, because if depending on how you time it and you place it, you can completely shut the MAUGA off from their support. And then that blocks them from getting heals. That's a major way that MAUGA is just able to continually put up these high damage games. So you can use your ice wall effectively and then slow him once he's through the wall. He's kind of stuck there, and then if you catch yourself out of position or if he tries to target you, then you just cryo freeze until your supports come and save you. So again, I think those two are A tier, not necessarily S tier, because they can still kind of that can still kind of get dunked, you know what I mean? But you got Reaper as well, just because I think Reaper has a lot of DPS. He has a way of getting behind and picking off the supports. And then, if you're able to teleport behind, pick off 1 or 2 supports as you're, moving back to your team, you can put some big damage into MAUGA and then, Wraith form to safety. You also have that little bit of self-heal, lifesteal as well, so, some good sustainability there. Moving to Sojourn, I think Sojourn's arguably S tier because very high damage output. She has the AoE damage as well, but the big thing with facing MAUGA as Sojourn is you might not instantly get a lot of gratification or a lot of reward out of dumping your rounds into MAUGA, but essentially like a full clip into the MAUGA real quick is making the support heal the MAUGA, but it's also getting your railgun fully charged. So you could just really just chill out, have a nice little off angle or whatever, dump some rounds into MAUGA, and then you can either one-shot the support from where you're at, or dive to a different angle to one-shot the support, and then, make your way back to your team, and then fry the MAUGA again, rinse and repeat. So I think the fact that with Sojourn you have the capabilities of having really good short to mid-range damage, and then that powers up your long-range damage, I think that she's going to be really viable against MAUGA. I think obviously as the nerfs come out, she's going to continue to be top tier as well. And then Tracer is obviously really good for, she's got a very small hitbox, so it's kind of hard for a MAUGA to keep up with a Tracer that's just constantly blinking. And when you get inside of MAUGA's really close radius, it's really hard for the MAUGA to track a Tracer effectively, and you're able to do a lot of damage. Your pulse bomb probably isn't going to one-shot a MAUGA, but if you can couple your pulse bomb with just like a full clip or 2 at the MAUGA's face, probably just took out their tank, you know what I mean? Also, Tracer is really good again at targeting the backline. She can take these obscure off angles and just blink her way back to the support, pick off the supports, and then, like I said with Reaper, work her way back to her team through the MAUGA and really do a lot of damage in the process. Honorable mention for, against MAUGA, I guess you could call her B tier. I think Echo is really good in the MAUGA meta. She's obviously able to take the vertical attack, which, creates another element of making MAUGA track you harder. She's not able to stay in the air as long as Pharah per se, but she does have burst damage, she has sustained damage, and then she also has the beam as well. So a few different ways of performing damage here, but I think the big reason why Echo's getting my honorable mention at the moment is because her ultimate allows her to turn into a MAUGA. So a lot of times we're seeing now 1 or 2 Echoes, and then when you get to like the final big team fights, you'll have 4 MAUGAs essentially, because both Echoes are transforming into MAUGA, and then you got 4 cage fights happening. It's really chaotic. Obviously there's a lot of visual clutter on the screen, but actually hilarious in my opinion. So I think Echo gets the honorable mention. She's very good, just as a character in and of herself. She can also turn into whatever other character she wants, but really I think you get a lot of value with Echo at the moment by being able to turn into MAUGA. So to summarize, the tanks so far, you've got D.Va, Orisa, Sigma, Zarya. I would say that your Sigma and your D.Va are probably like your best options, and then Orisa is probably like A tier. So you got S, A, and then Zarya would be like your honorable mention B tier. And then for damage, I would say Sojourn and Tracer are probably your S tier, and then Bastion, Reaper, Mai are like your A tier, and then Echo would be like honorable mention B tier. And then for supports in terms of countering MAUGA, I think you've really only got 2 options for countering. You've got a few options as like complements that just play really well with him. But I think in terms of countering MAUGA, you've got your Ana and Zenyatta. Ana obviously has the sleep, which is huge, but then also the big thing is the anti-heal grenade. So if you're able to hit some big sleep darts, hit some big anti-heal grenades when he's like half health or so, isolated from the team, couple that with a Mai walls him off, and then you anti-grenade him, and then you hit a sleep, and then boom, he's dead. You know what I mean? So Ana's obviously really good in this current meta. You see a lot of Ana and Kirikos at the moment. Kiriko not necessarily to counter the MAUGA specifically, but Kiriko kind of works as like a soft counter to Ana, because she can Suzu away the sleep dart and the anti-heal. So you're seeing a lot of Ana and Kiriko being played at the moment in tandem because they just work really well together. I think Kiriko has a lot of raw healing, some high damage output as well. if you get a MAUGA that's in a cage fight and a Kitsune ultimate, it's kind of busted. But the other counter I would say would be Zenyatta, mainly for the Discord Orb, actually, largely because of the Discord Orb, but also their Transcendence ultimate as well is, really, really good for the cage fight. If you're able to time it correctly, you can, ultimately swing the tides of battle and just, play it out in favor of your team. Being able to be invulnerable, move faster, and heal all your enemies in the cage fight in that small radius is pretty huge. You slap your Discord Orb on, and you can quickly turn a losing fight into a winning fight. So, in terms of your counters for support, you've got Ana and Zenyatta. So again, quick little summary for tanks. You've got Diva, Orisa, Sigma, kind of Zarya. For damage, I think you've got Bastion, Mai, Reaper, Sojourn, Tracer, and then kind of Echo. And then for support counters, you've got Ana and Moira. In terms of complementary characters, a lot of them have kind of already been mentioned anyway. Obviously, tank doesn't matter so much, but Bastion's a good counter, or a good complement, just because they're both able to put out so much damage that it really is hard for the enemy team to focus effectively. Mai again is going to be a big compliment here, because if you can hit your Mai ultimate and freeze them inside of the cage fight, then it's 100% guaranteed win. You know what I mean? You win that team fight outright. Obviously, you're spending 2 ultimates to do so, but it's a really busted combination. I think, again, Sojourn and Tracer are really strong as well, but then you have to look at Soldier as well, because Soldier has a really high damage output. He's able to take these obscure off angles. He's able to heal himself and provide additional healing to the MAUGA as well. So really good in that sense. I think that in terms of the damage characters, you have a lot of openings to play most of these damage characters. I don't think that Torby is that great, because you can destroy the turrets pretty easily. I do think that Symmetra is really good in this matchup as well. Even as technically as like a B tier counter as well. Symmetra, you get a lot of value because your wall obviously blocks off most of the incoming projectiles. You can throw down your turrets real quick, and then you can have that ever ramping up damage against the MAUGA as well. But I don't think that she's as viable. I think for your complements, you're kind of looking at like Bastion, Mai, Soldier, Sojourn, and even the Tracer again to create more openings. And then your complements as tanks, obviously Ana with her nano boost and the heal buff is huge. Kiriko's huge because she has the Suzu, which will clear any debuffs, and then also provides a little bit of invincibility for half second or so. But then the Kitsune ult is also really massive. And I think a sleeper pick is Brigitte, however you want to say it. I think it's like Brigitte technically is how they say it in the game, but I think she's pretty big because obviously MAUGA wants to get in and brawl heavily. Sometimes dives, but usually relies heavily on his team. When he dives, you can just throw your health back out. But if you can just keep a good Inspire uptime, constantly providing some AoE heals, I think the MAUGA and the Brigitte have a good like synergistic relationship essentially, because MAUGA's providing like the team damage, whatever you want to call it, damage debuff. You know what I mean? Nearby enemies take reduced damage and heal by dealing damage, and that's essentially coupled into what Brigitte is doing as well, because anytime she deals damage to enemies nearby, she's healing enemies as well. So if you have a Brigitte and a MAUGA fighting in tandem with each other, it's really hard to deal with, because obviously she has the shield to kind of protect the squishies. Like a Brigitte coupled with a Ana, she can protect the Ana a bit more and also provide AoE healing to everybody. I think she's really good in that sense. And in terms of the AoE healing, that's going to bring me to Lucio, is obviously good as well. I think the supports are in a really good place at the moment in terms of most of them being viable to play with MAUGA. I think, Ana and Kiriko are like your S tier currently at the moment. I would say like Baptiste, Brigitte, and Lucio are probably like your A tier. And then I think Moira, Illari, Zenyatta, Mercy's probably B tier-ish, and then Lifeweaver's probably your C tier. I don't think Lifeweaver's that great at the moment, just because with MAUGA you can entirely take out his ultimate with not even a full clip. You know what I mean? I think Lifeweaver has the added bonus that you can life grip people out of the cage fight, and that can be helpful to providing some team survivability, some sustainability. Increase the longevity of that team fight and give you a chance to win it. I just don't think he fits in that great. So I think if you have MAUGA on your team, you know, a great little team comp could be like, you know, Sojourn Bastion, Sojourn Tracer, Sojourn Mai. I think that's a really good team comp, coupled with an Ana Kiriko, whatever. You do have a lot more flexibility when you have the MAUGA on your team, obviously, because he creates a lot of openings. He's a bullet sponge and deals a lot of damage. A lot of the matchups I'm seeing at the moment in ranked are MAUGA versus MAUGA, so kind of get in how you fit in and see what happens. But I don't mind it. You know, I think it's fun to have a dominant meta that you have to play around, especially when it's the brand new character. You know, it's the new shiny toy, so it's always fun to play with the new shiny toy. So anyways, we do have the MAUGA nerf coming up next week. Obviously, most of this will all change up, and hopefully I'll be able to release a new video of me just kind of, you know, just spilling out my thoughts on the entire situation. I'd like to get more into doing, you know, news updates and my thoughts on the meta, my thoughts on tier lists and stuff. At the moment, I don't have, you know, the video editing software to have the fancy capabilities of, you know, playing multiple gameplay clips into the background. I tried it, and when I try to clip together multiple characters clips together, the quality just gets really grainy. So bear with me as I, you know, continue to develop as 2024 goes by. I would ideally like to have, like, you know, my nice little talking intro, and then nice little whoosh, little PowerPoint slide transition, whatever, and then I have like a little animated intro, and then it goes into like the bulk of the video, you know, me talking about whatever, or the gameplay or whatever, and then we have a little outro, and then I do my talking portion as well. So anyways, be on the lookout for that. Videos are going to be constantly developing in terms of, you know, editing quality and such. But yeah, man, I appreciate you if you stuck around this long. Know that I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day. You know, if you agree with anything or disagree with anything, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think, man. I'm obviously a very open, transparent person. I enjoy communication. I don't mind arguments. But yeah, man, you let me know what you think on everything. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Know that I love you. Peace.